The busy start to fire season due to the hot and dry weather is starting to feel like a little bit of a repeat of last summer. Southeastern Saskatchewan is still dealing with severe drought conditions despite the late season snowfall. So what will this summer hold? David Phillips is the senior climatologist with Environment Canada and joins me now. Thank you so much for taking the time today, David.
You're welcome, Christy.
Well, we've seen so many of these long, hot and dry stretches in the prairies over the past year. Why is that?
Certainly in the last year, it's been almost a weather-free zone, and that has certainly created issues, concerns, particularly by growers and gardeners and forest firefighters. What we've seen certainly in the recent months been some very cold conditions, but boy, it's also been very dry. It's almost as if nature's forgotten how to precipitate over parts of Saskatchewan. And we're seeing in some areas precipitation totals since the beginning of the year down to maybe a third or maybe 40% of what you normally get. And now with the warmer temperatures, we're seeing more evaporation, and there is concern that we just don't have enough moisture there for growing foodstuffs.
Well, with that, you mentioned the fire season. It has gotten off to a very busy start. Is that something you expect to see continuing onwards?
Well, I think so. I mean, right now we're seeing a real oddity. We're seeing really very warm temperatures, maybe 15, 16 degrees warmer than you'd expect in parts of northern Saskatchewan. I mean, 31 degrees in the north at this time, where it should be a high of 16. And of course, that's drying out the woodlots and the forest area. I mean, any bead of precipitation there is just being sucked up by the atmosphere. And of course, the issue, Christy, is if we don't see a change, then it's even going to get worse before it gets better. What our models are suggesting you're going to get, we think that the period May, June, July, and August will be warmer than normal. And if it's warmer than normal, then you need more precipitation, not less.
With the changing climate, do you think that these hot and dry summers and even warm and dry springs and dry winters are something that we should start to get used to?
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, I think that certainly one year or one decade is not a trend make with regards to climate. I think, Christy, what we have seen in some of the recent years, we've seen a lot of precipitation, and then we've got almost periods without precipitation. It's what I think has really changed is what we call normal weather. It's what our grandparents and teachers and ag agents told us we should accept and get. But what we're seeing, it's almost as if you're going from one extreme to the other. You're either having too much weather or too little weather. And that, of course, gets us into trouble because we plant seeds, we grow crops, we build hospitals and schools based on normal weather. I think for me, what has changed is that variability, the wild swings, like a joker in the weather deck. You're just not getting normal anymore. It's either too much weather or too little weather. And I think that does create issues for us.
Well, hopefully some of those farmers can get somewhere in the middle of those extremes for this summer as they look forward to their crops. Thank you so much for joining us today, David Phillips.
You're welcome, Christy. Bye-bye now.